Phillip. Thank you very much for joining this project. It's a huge pleasure to have you here.
That's great. Thank you very much for inviting me to come along.
Excellent. Well, Phillip, starting, I'd like you to tell us about your experience and background.
My background is as a management consultant in the construction industry. Well, in the global construction industry, I have had senior roles in industry for global professional service firms. But my background is purely construction, from a construction management degree many years ago, and then sort of, I suppose, post an MBA, I realized that all the tools and techniques that other industries use are very relevant in our industry. And then since then, I've been motivated and inspired to help clients, my clients, I've worked for around about 3,000 different firms in the construction industry in the UK, to embed improvement, cultural change programs so that they're better informed and have better processes and capability, primarily in work winning, which is my specialist area.
Wow, excellent. Cool. And well, talking about your company, why in the sense of what the problem you try to solve and how your company was created?
Okay, well, the background to the company is really cultural change programs, and then the problem that we're solving is using digital workplaces to help firms recognize that they're spending a large amount of money on work winning. I've been, over the last 20 years, have been doing a survey across the industry on bid cost and how much organizations of contractors and consultants are spending on bidding. And it's coming out to be something like 0.57% are bid costs as a percentage of project value. Now, because firms have a win rate of around about 1 in 5, they're potentially spending up to 3% of their turnover on bidding alone. The wider work winning costs in an organization is around about 5 to 6% spend. And a lot of firms are not capturing or actually using the insights of this data to improve their mechanisms, their behaviors, their approaches to work winning. And that's what MyConsole delivers. It helps firms identify which bids to go for, which bids they're not going to be able to win, and it identifies all the things they need to do to win that bid. And then there's a bidding environment that we provide to help organizations maximize the potential of winning.
Impressive. And what does your current company actually do? What, in terms of products and solutions, what people can buy from you?
Well, we offer a software as a service solution where people can buy 10 licenses. We have a minimum 10 licenses for around about £10 per user. And basically, they can get themselves set up to start collaborating in a virtual digital workplace, so they can start collaborating and identifying and discussing and talking about which bids to manage. So there's a pipeline that's provided by a management tool, client, a CRM system is set up, but it is a digital workplace. Other features or functionality, we offer key client management, framework management, risk and opportunity management, all of the ability to do bid management, so there's submission management as well, and so you can collaborate and everybody can actually be working in the cloud together. We also capture the client's needs and the client's outcomes, desired outcomes, and the stakeholders' outcomes, and that produces automatically creates a win plan. So the collaboration activity, which is shared through a governance control feature, which enables everybody to be working holistically in the cloud on hundreds of different bids if need be, in a very consistent manner and methodology, so that everybody is aligned and working to stage gateways, undertaking reviews on their bids, and therefore progressing in a very coordinated, robust way, so that the leadership team have confidence and certainty. They have full dashboard insights on metrics across win rates, bid costs, priority. We have a win score, so the leadership know exactly which bids have the highest chance of winning across all of the workflow stages. So it's a very comprehensive system, which is actually helping our clients move from 1 in 5 win rates to 1 in 2. We also had a client saying this year they were going to achieve a 1 in 1 win rate, but that's sort of gone out the window now because of the virus. But the other benefit of working in this way in the cloud is incredible productivity gains, because a lot of organizations are using lots of different systems where they duplicate data in Excel sheets or in different software platforms or CRM systems. And that actually we're working out to be around about 20 to 30% saving per user, which is a very sizable. So we're giving back to our clients around about 1.5 days back per week.
Wow, that's very interesting. And what are key points of differentiation of your company, and what I would say that what makes you different?
I think what makes us different is my expertise in actually creating the platform itself. Every firm has a work-winning process in one way, and every firm has a digital workplace. The problem is that they need skills to be able to pull all of this together, create the simplicity and the streamlined and the optimized approach across their workflow, and actually integrate with other parts of the business. Now, what we're finding is our sort of competitors are existing incumbent firms where there are leaders and people who are managing silos, and they're digitizing individual silos in the workflow sequence. And the problem is that's great, it's a good first step, but there is still that inconsistency that you're creating lots of data mountains. So we don't really, every one of those firms are going to have to go through the journey of digitalization, so they're trying to streamline the entire process. And what we've done is, because of our expertise in work winning, we've gone through that pain, we've created that, and it's just ready to go as an out-of-the-box solution. So they don't have any cost to do that. They can just use it for $10 or £10 per user, and you're up and running. And I think because of that, it mirrors the construction industry workflow, the user experience, and the sort of the user capability of how we've actually sort of consolidated and coalesced all the operational tools for the construction industry makes it very simple and intuitive. So I think we're right at the sort of the front end, the leading edge of where people are going to be in 5 years' time. But I think at the moment people are very much just trying to digitize elements of their digital workplace, and I think later they're going to be a consolidation. It's too big a journey to try and take on the entirety of the workflow, the workplace in one go.
Wow.
1 second. Yeah, changes my microphone. It's over low battery. Well, it seems a very mature platform already, but are you looking for or trying to solve, developing any other tool or feature in your platform that you still not in place?
Yes, what we're doing is we're extending the digital workplace, which is primarily at the moment pre-construction. And remember, we're very much focused on client outcomes. So, the future is all going to be about outcomes. And because outcomes are numerate, then digitalization is perfect. So what we're able to do is, what we're looking at developing at this very moment is creating a social value capture and management tool, so that we can provide dashboards for each project, each bid that the client is pursuing, our client or contractor or consultant client is pursuing, can see for each project how much waste, how much carbon, how many apprentices or how much employment spend, how much local spend has been achieved, how much savings have been achieved for that particular client on that particular project or program. And this is what we're developing at this moment to go alongside our current range of tools. The other thing that we're developing and seeing as an opportunity is we've got all the tools and capability whilst we've got sort of the workflow is this much, we can extend it much wider. And what we're looking at, because we have all the system architecture to do that. So as the next stage, we're looking for investment. We are looking for investment. We'd like to grow that side of the business because there is absolutely a need for a sort of easy, ready to go tool for the industry, construction industry. There's a lot of, obviously all the big organizations have got lots of IT help and lots of informed external consultants helping them, but the vast majority of firms in the construction are very small, and what we can provide is this ready-to-go solution to help the digitization of their entire workplace, and that's what we're very excited about at the moment.
Wow, impressive. And which countries do you work currently in, and where do you plan to take your business in the future?
Well, we're currently with a client who's based in Turkey that have offices in America and the UK, Italy, and in the Balkan countries, as well obviously as Turkey. We've also, unfortunately, we were just started with a client in Chile, but that's just been put on pause, which is annoying, but I mean, everybody's got stories like this, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. So it is a global product that we've developed. We've got an agent in Germany wanting to get going, and in Dubai. So we know we have a global product. It's just that we're very much in the early days of getting going. It's been an exciting journey to get thus far, but we see a massive opportunity. I suppose it might be worth you asking me about the business model. And if you did ask me that question, I would say that our business model is to provide a ready-to-go solution, whereas obviously the large organizations, the large software players, lots of respect to those guys, but the brand that you buy is obviously delivered by local IT support teams. There might be a gold member supplier, but they're not necessarily from this industry, and so therefore they basically digitize your existing process, and that's happening across hundreds of thousands of firms. And what we're saying is, well, if you're a construction, why don't you just have one that gives you all the integrated data across 50, 60 different elements of your business, and it's just ready to go? Why would you want to go on that journey and that cost to integrate that, to give you dashboards and visibility and insights across so much areas, when we've got around about, of the 50 different process steps that we can see, we've actually integrated 38 of them, and we're just on that journey. Because we think at some point people are going to go, well, that's going to cost us £300,000-400,000, and this is costing us £10 per user. I think. And then people will have the realization that it's all about data, and it's not the functionality and owning the system. It's actually having the data to leverage to make better decision making in a client's business. And I think people are going to realize that very quickly. It's not owning the car; it's just getting from A to B that's the issue.
Yeah, sure, very good. And could you tell us about a successful case with a client of yours?
Well, yes, one of our clients, a firm called Baxall Construction, and we put all the lots of interviews and testimonials on our website, so these can be backed up. We asked them about why they were using us, and what they're a very digitally mature business in themselves, and what they wanted to do was to have greater visibility and minimize the risk at the front end of their business. A lot of organizations don't capture, there's a lot of inconsistent data and not very assured or accurate or consistent data at the front end of the business. And people in the construction industry tend to start taking very serious note once they've won a job. But actually, that provides a lot of risk to the business, and you lose all of the insights about why you've won and how you've won and what can you do to improve the organizational learning. So BACSA were very keen to engage with us to help that side of the business grow and to use start collecting data so that they can constantly improve their processes. So that's the firm I was talking about that went from a 1 in 4, 1 in 5 win rate to a 1 in 2.5 to a 1 in 2, and who said they're going to achieve a 1 in 1. And they're the people that have said that they've achieved a 30% on average per user saving.
Mm-hmm. And that's a huge amount, 20 to 30%.
It's pretty obvious when you think about it. If you're bidding for 5 bids in 1 month, you honestly cannot deliver 5 winnable bids in 1 month. So if you drop 2 and you put all the effort you'd spend on the 5 on 3, that means you can go and do more innovative solutions, more relationship development, more innovative thinking and engagement, and come up with more winnable solutions. So you put in 3 winnable bids, you tend to win 2 of them. But the desperation in a lot of organizations' minds is that they think, I've got to go for 5, and unfortunately, they're not learning from why they lost previous bids or why they've won previous bids. Now, what we've done, we've put that learning capture into the tool so that it constantly hones and prompts you to do more of the things that you win and less of the things that you lose. It's a pretty obvious thing to do. It's just not buried into the bid team's culture. They don't really want to think about if they've lost a bid. But so that's why we have all the stages, or the gateway stage, there's review learning, and so that organizations can learn about why they've lost a particular job or address that element in their culture and constantly improve. That's why we know lots more firms will be thinking about this 1 in 1 win rate, because why would you bid, and it's on the videos that the clients will say, why would you bid for a bid if you know you're not going to win? Why? And so if you only bid on bids that you have the highest chance, obviously we have a selectivity tool that's built into the system, which identifies the 32 criteria to assess whether you can win it or not. And because the human mind, people historically are making intuitive decisions like guesswork, to make a decision on which bid to go for. That's just crazy. The average bid in the UK is around about £50,000. And if people are making, let's go for it, that's going down to the casino with £50,000 and not even putting it on red or black. That's putting it out on the outer limits. And once people start realizing that, to how much project you have to deliver to get £50,000 or 5 times that, £250,000, you have to deliver that project, but they're not curating that internal bid cost and deploying it in their most optimized ways. Computer systems analytics allows people to make very good decisions, whereas using intuition has high risk. And I think this is the evolution point that we're trying to bring to bear into the marketplace.
Well, and as I saw the demo on your website, and you probably brings a lot of elements and a lot of variables to the number that counts until the 100% of chance to win a bid. So I'd like to understand, how do you calculate it? Of course, not in details, but how do you calculate it? And you must have a huge team behind you too.
It's just based on algorithms, really. I developed a spreadsheet 20 years ago, and I'm giving it to my clients But the problem is they weren't consistent around each office. Each office and each region could be completely different. And so therefore that inconsistency gets lost, and then the leadership don't capture and encourage the local teams to do these things. Now, obviously, when it's embedded into the company process, there's that consistent reporting, and then the leaderships can start learning about why is one team winning and another team isn't on a health or on schools or education or whatever, or commercial issues. They're all different, and what we're trying to bring is to try and get large organizations to recognize there's got to be a consistent, yet they have to embed a consistent behavioral set and culture in the organization to actually exploit the winnability and to learn from that and to create the sort of centers of excellence. Now, the problem is because that data is not being captured or analyzed, or it's not visible in the organization without, asking the graduates to put 3 or 4 days a week on that and try and work it up. By having this in real time, it just will give you this information in real time across, the winnability for each bid that you're pursuing. It becomes an obvious thing to do. And we've also built in a bid mentor into the tool to suggest what the bid team can do to improve the winnability for each bid that they're pursuing. So it's actually, I suppose it's just having like a bid expert standing over every person's shoulder in the bid team, suggesting what they could do. So the individual productivity performance is improved because we provide, there's videos, there's checklists, there's prompts to everybody on demand as they need it. And obviously, because the system's set up as a data sort of template, it's suggesting all the right areas, or the most highest winnable areas to capture data on. So people, if they automatically use MyConsole, they automatically have the most optimized work-winning approach they will have. We did research with Reading University in 2014 and 2015, and this is where I saw that there's consistent behaviors in winning and consistent behaviors in losing. And if we just start to do all the things where we always get consistent and we always win, let's do more of those things. And that's what the platform basically is shaped to do.
Very good. And what are you looking for at the moment? Investment, expansion, consolidation, growth?
Well, investment's great. We have had a conversation with a VC about 2 or 3 years ago, but that fell over because of something in their world. And to be honest, I just wanted to get on with getting case studies and getting the platform. So it's sort of coming around again now to have those sort of conversations. We do feel we've got a world-beating product, and it would be great. I would need more help at the management team. We'd need to start rolling out across offices, or be part of an organization. So that would be great to be able to expand. We've got a great product. It's very timely, but it would be great if we could have some investment to help us deliver the potential.
Excellent. And changing a bit about your interview, the chapter of our interview, I'd like you to discuss with you about the real estate industry. As far as I speak to several startups and small companies in the world, they say that the real estate is seen as more conservative in relation to other sectors. Does this also occur in the countries you are currently working?
Yeah, the UK construction industry, which I'm very, very expert in, and remember, I've had very high level expertise at board level in global board executive team membership. The issue really is that there isn't the legislation that occurs that drives often change. There hasn't been the burning deck as the management consultant speak says, to change. But this is now happening. We are now experiencing, because of two very seminal changes that have happened, or to incidents. One was a very large top 3 contractor went under, and the governance in their processes was not visible, and therefore they were bidding at just basically became that was Carillion, and they were bidding on just putting a percentage figure in to get the work from the government. And I think the government's going to want to see more visible oversight in the bidding practices and behaviours across organisations. And I think other organisations, other clients will want to see that there's proper reviews and governance happening in pre-construction in the procurement, to make sure that we do have the bidding people involved. So I think that's going to be a change. There was a very unhappy incident about a fire in a tower block where the procurement was set, but the.
Can you repeat the last 10 seconds? There was freezing.
There was another unfortunate incident in the UK, the Grenfell Tower, where there was a fire, and there was a large number of people died, and primarily there was renovating the outside, cladding the building. And what was compromised was the decision in terms of governance of the selectivity of the material. Whilst the external cladding material, whilst it conformed to legislation, regulative legislation, it was flammable, and therefore, the client's overarching objectives had been missed because the procurement or estimating team were just trying to get the lowest price. Now, these are sort of things I built into the platform, because if you lose sight of what the client's outcomes across the procurement process, this is what becomes visible. And unless there's good governance across the earlier procurement stages, that the estimator has to check and confirm that they do know that the highest standard of fire safety has to be aligned. That would mean the estimator would say, actually, I realise I need to get the neck to choose this one. Now, this has been a conflict, so I think there is going to be a change that's going to drive legislation to have better visibility of procurement and within contractors and consultants and the earlier part of the phase. So I think we're just maturing. I think it's just getting ready now. So I've had that in the back of my mind, that people will, clients are spending a lot of money on these buildings. They wanting to minimise the risk of any of these issues happening, and I think they're going to want the supply chain, the procurement chain to start demonstrating that they can show real-time oversight on all of these issues that have been driven, not once the building's been built, but during as part of the decision making why they want to select. And I think that's the other thing is, organizations do not capture their performance, their own capability and performance. It's almost ad hoc. So what we built into the platform is the ability to capture metrics that the clients want, or outcomes of performance. What's the contractor performance they're offering, what was actually achieved during the delivery, and what was the performance against the outcome. So in real time, everybody can see all of the performance that the client's wanting. And I think the clients are going to want to have access in the future to those sorts of indicators, to give them that confidence that all is well. Unfortunately, as I know, and I'm sure this happens in all procurement situations, is that during procurement, people do have a tendency to make up figures. Yes, we have this, we will achieve these, we're aligned to this standards, and it's not often true. And if they haven't captured this data performance now, they're going to have a big shock, because new procurement that's coming, particularly in the UK, means that they will want to see this pattern behavior. They will want to be able to demonstrate it. So I think the stars are becoming more aligned to what we're trying to do. It just needs, it is all about governance, and it is all about early indicators and warnings.
That's very good news. And well, considering your strong background and your relevant career in the real estate sector, in the consultant area, I'd like to ask you a question about what keeps most of big companies still away from the development of products and solutions, just like startups, in your opinion?
I think the problem is there's quite a few things, but the three things that would jump to mind would be digital illiteracy at the leadership level. Unfortunately, a lot of the leaders in the construction industry are not literate. They sort of go, oh, I'm not that great, and the problem with that is it's a little bit like saying, well, I really can't read, or I'm really not good at being a leader, and yet they're in charge of the decisions to make digital change. So that's one of the problems. The other problem is that incumbents, large organizations, do not have the culture to act like a startup. So they're not necessarily have a digital plan for improvement. They leave it to silo directors and of areas to take the lead, because the digital literacy at the top is often poor. Now, I'm not saying this is a standard across the industry. I'm just trying to illustrate typically what my experience is. There are some excellent companies that have excellent digital leadership, and they're driving great things, and I could name them. But my problem is, I go into lots of organizations and they go, well, why do we need that? We've got all the things you're doing, Phillip, we've already got as Excel sheets. And because there's no ability to measure the productivity of their current approaches, they just default to, well, why do we need to change? And I can understand that. So that's why we developed a KPI to show them what their digital, their KPIs are of their current processes. But even that is, unless the client changes or legislation enforces these things, or the organization changes. So they're two of the key challenges. And then the third challenge, and again is back to leadership, is I don't think they're realizing that there's a new change in the behavior of how young people want to work. They want to work in teams. They want to work in a more ethical dimension. They want to be part of a collective, collaborative approach to deliver. And that they want to work from home, and they want to work on the move, and they don't want to go to the office to where they normally go to work, because actually they can just be productive. As I'm sure one of the outcomes from one of the good things that will come out from this is that people will realize of how productive they can be at the office. And I think there's going to be, leadership are going to have to brace themselves for the challenge that people are going to say, well, why do I need to go to work today? Because I've got a sick kid, I need to go to a doctor's appointment. Actually, I can get my work done. So I think there's going to be a huge evolution on awareness and a demand for digital workplaces. The problem is the digital workplaces that people have got are often a multiple sign-in solution area using lots of different tools. Now, that's where we've got 38 different processes in one solution, which is a single sign-on, and we obviously have APIs and the capability for single sign-on across other businesses as well. So the issue is that I think if people have to open up and log into lots of different things, and they're also that's fine if they're working at one place at home or at work. But the reality is, digital gives us the ability to have seamless working across any device, anywhere, standing in the queue at the supermarket, or going to the gym, waiting for my next, review outcome. So I think leadership is going to they've got the big responsibility in the construction industry to really learn more about what the opportunities that digitalization can deliver, and actually embrace it and become much more enabled and focused in this space, rather than at the moment I feel they just treat, it's another IT technological issue. As I try to explain it, this is the biggest single opportunity in a generation, and this will be the making of a huge industrial change, not just in the construction industry, but across all industries.
Very interesting. And about the partnerships or collaboration between small and mid-sized companies to big corps, how do you see this?
Well, we didn't have great success. I mean, obviously, I'm quite well connected with large organizations I've provided services for 35, 36 of the top 50 contractors in the UK and 19 of the top 25 consultants. But to my disillusionment and disappointment, because there's lots of people on lots of different journeys at different spaces, there wasn't the immediate embracing. I mean, obviously, I've designed this system to work for the biggest organisation in the UK, or like firm like Balfour Beatty, 10 billion pound turnover per year. It's been designed for that capability. And what we've had to do is rethink our strategy to chase the sort of 50 to 70 million pound businesses, or 25 million to 75, 100 million pound businesses, because the decision making in the sales cycle is a lot easier. It's a lot easier to engage with the leadership team and to demonstrate what this will mean. And so our focus at the moment, whilst we can provide a service for a big one, and we are still trying to talk to a number, but they do tend to push back because there's IT people involved and they say, yes, it's all covered. But what they're not realizing is that it's about a workflow rather than they're just creating digital tools. So we do have solutions for very small. Remember, we charge something like £100 a month for 10 users. 10 users is not a lot of money to get this sort of performance. Obviously, we have add-ons at another £10 for the key client management or the bid management. But so we've actually got a very low cost base, and what we're finding, there's more opportunity at the lower end of the marketplace, the smaller contractors and consultants who actually want to get on with having the functionality and capability and the performance, rather than it's not Microsoft, or things like that.
Yeah, and in this sense, could you give a piece of advice to these big companies that still might be struggling to start this innovation journey?
I've always been very wary of giving any advice to large organisations, because my fail-safe has always been to do analytics. We used to obviously do surveys and audits in organisations, and when you survey an organisation, if they were to do surveys and audits of what their people are saying, and actually listen to what the people, their own teams, there's a huge amount of insight and capability from their own teams about what would improve their own processes. So, don't take it from me. Listen very carefully to what your people are saying, and try and understand that user experience. What leadership need is to have a vision about their digital strategy. This is not a technical issue. This is not a technical solution. I am not a technical person. I'm a process person. But because I understand the fluidity and the nuanced subtleties of how to create a user journey and the experience that the user wants. So what they've got to do is understand what can this technology do to help each individual in their company. That's my fear. That they're not doing that, and the leadership teams and the IT teams are getting off ahead, creating these environments, and if there's not consultation with the users, the future users, they may be in a bit of a shock. So I would be suggesting doing more audits and engagement with their own people, because some of the most brilliant ideas will come from them. I mean, I'm actually designing an audit as we're speaking now on the capability of a digital work. What is the capability of a digital workplace? That's something I'm going to be putting out in the next sort of 6 weeks. We have a productivity KPI on our website, which is free, and we're also going to have a digital workplace capability, which we'll launch in the next 6 to 7 weeks, something like that. But listen to people. Don't listen to management consultants. The power I've always had is I've done analytics in an organization, and it's what they're suggesting they want and what they need is the best driver for enabling change.
Would you say that people in the middle management have more open mind to change of mindset than the senior leadership?
No, in my experience, this digital literacy is a big problem. People are very siloed in their expertise, and they say, "Oh, we need to leave that to the IT team to sort out." But this is a strategic issue. This is not a technological issue, and if you leave this to the IT team, yes, they're going to deliver almost like they'll deliver you a fantastic spreadsheet in the cloud, which has got all the fields, everything's there, but how the user uses that, accesses, how all that information flows around the business, how you can gather insight that can inform people to help them make the decisions. They're not thinking about that. They're thinking about capturing data and doing analytics. And the problem is people do not want to fill out forms. This is, you just got a one data entry point for everything, and it's easy and it's just easy to collaborate. Now that is not easy for IT people to know how everybody's jobs work and what would make their life a lot easier, and they're not researching that. And that's what I spent my last 30 years on in that space, is helping people streamline and optimize their ways of work winning. And that's how we've developed our solution. It's to help people at each point of the process step as they go through gateways, so they're not burdened. Now, the middle management could be owners of a silo or an activity, and they maybe feel they're just being challenged to digitize that step. But unless it's part of the overall journey, the whole user interface journey, it could be difficult. I'm not saying it can't be done, but there's a lot of thinking has to go involved. And I think people, leadership teams need to put a value on how much internal time can their management team spend to advise or to scope or spec out what their solutions is going to be. We are talking hundreds of thousands of hours. And what happens is they get going, and I've been involved in these sort of projects at a leadership level, and people lose, at leadership level, they lose sight of what's been trying to achieve. And what can happen, they move on, and it becomes a mess. And I think, that's why I think there will be a pushback to look, if this is a solution that does everything and let's use that, which is the vision, the business model we have. Why would you go and do all of that internally yourself, where you can just buy it and get it to work instantly and it's all integrated, and instead of having to do this with all of your leadership teams for each department, the bid teams across all the businesses. What we're giving is best practice on every single aspect of client management, strategic planning, bid management, risk management, submission management, win plan development. All of those sorts of things have been thought through, and I think there's the challenges. I'm not saying they can't do it. Of course they can do it. Everybody can do anything, but it's the internal pain and time. And if that takes 18 months to 2 years, then what is the lost opportunity of all the bids that you could have won if you'd had this in place? And I think that's another factor to be thinking about.
So you think that this whole COVID situation might be pushing the senior leadership to strategically think about digitalization that would be, well, at least one good outcome of this COVID situation?
I think the COVID-19 situation is going. We're going to have a lot more pain than we're recognizing. You know, there's going to be lots of different waves coming through. I think we will all have to go back to work. I think there will be people wanting to work from home more, so there's going to be a greater demand for digital workplaces. But as I said earlier, I think there's going to be a need for people to want to be more the flexibility. So the change is going to have to come in the culture of organizations that allows that flexibility for people to work on the move, and they've got to provide those digital environments for people to be able to do their job. The problem is we're getting around it at the moment because you know, we all have to work from home, but you know, this is where we're all logging into lots of different systems, and this is where I'm suggesting, you know, people will find that more difficult and more painful. Now, the construction industry, your first point was we're very conservative. I think if you're we're in a survival mode at the moment, but I think in the future people are going to say, I only want to work for I don't want to go back and work for a firm that's got old technology that could even be decades old. I think people are going to be wanting to this experience is going to make them think, do you know, work is what I do, not where I'm at. I want to work for a firm that gets what I can do is flexible and can work any time. So I think the big change has got to be for leadership is not to hope we're going to get back to the status quo that we were in, is really to be stimulated and have the vision and imagination to think, what is that future? What future environments can I deliver to my employees, because they are a very valuable asset, and if they're not enjoying this experience, they've got no choice at the moment. But when things level out, hopefully in 18 months' time, people will be thinking, if this is a user experience that's not really set for me, I want to go and work for a firm that does get this. And people could lose some very valuable people. Remember, everybody comes to work to do great things, and work is, if the systems and organizations and environments that are enabled by and provided by our leadership teams, if they're not helping us do these things in an optimized, productive way, and they're hindering and wasting our time when we log in, we can't do this, we can't do that, we have to fill these things in. People, I think, we're going to go, if I can't do everything on my smartphone, that's for me. Everything we do on MyConsole is on this smartphone. So, that's it. If they can't do everything on their smartphone as they're waiting in the queue to go to the gym or whatever, that's the future. And that's the vision I have. It's all got to be very easy for users.
Well, excellent, Phillip. It was a huge pleasure to understand your vision over the real estate marketing, and not only about your company. That I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much indeed. So, thank you very much for having me.